Hello everyone, this is Hippo from Luminosity Gaming, and today we will be covering the balance changes that came with this year's Season 7 update and their effects on the game. Let's start off with the assault rifles. The M4's underbarrel launcher comes with an additional shot, and now you can toggle to the launcher without firing it, effectively serving as a built-in thumper, which sounds really strong on paper, as you can have two secondary weapons, but it is a rather niche upside. So this change is not likely to make M4 a meta pick. The Type 25's reload time has been reduced to 1.5 seconds, and while the reload time is still on the slower side, it's not as painfully slow anymore. But it still suffers from subpar BSA and flinch, so it will probably still be a lower tier AR, especially with the new bullet impact mechanic impacting the flinch even more. The BK-57's reload time has been reduced to 1.2 seconds. This means that with the 40 round fast mag, which you probably should be using, you can reload insanely fast at just under a second. This is a welcome change, but it will still be outclassed by guns like the FFAR and the Crick 6. The DRH's reload time has also been reduced to 1.33 seconds. This makes it effectively the fastest reloading 3-tap AR, but being a slow-firing weapon still means that it can't reliably compete with the current meta weapons. The KN-44 has received a flinch reduction down to 0.55. This won't really affect the gun much, but it brings it more in line with the upper tier ARs in terms of flinch. The ASM-10's reload time has been reduced to 1.58 seconds, so it would still have the slowest reload time out of all the 3-tap ARs, but the difference is much smaller. The bigger change would actually be the buff to the Branson barrel, as they removed the negative leg multipliers. This is actually really cool, because it makes it actually viable, since now you can consistently achieve the time to kill of 133 milliseconds, assuming you land the initial shots. The M13's reload time has been reduced to 1.31 seconds, which is on the faster side for ARs, and since the M13 is already a great flex AR, this won't change too much about its viability, but it's still a nice quality of life change. Now let's move on to SMGs. The GKS's reload time has been reduced to 1.33 seconds, which is more in line with guns like the QQ9. And as a sick attempt of humor from the devs, they decide to also increase the range by half a meter, because even buffing it by a full meter would clearly make it too strong. The QXR's monolithic suppressor now increases range by an additional 6%, which equates to an additional meter on average. The Marksman barrel's ADS time penalty has also been reduced, adding 1 frame to ADS time instead of the previous 2 frames. This change does make range stacking a bit more efficient on the QXR, but it's still outclassed by the CBR. Next are the Marksman rifles. The Kilovolt Action's ADS time has been reduced by 2 frames. This allows it to ADS insanely fast when fully kitted out at less than 300 milliseconds. This gives it a niche edge over the other Marksman rifles as the fastest handling one, which could be a very fun weapon to use. Next, we have snipers. Now, the only weapon nerf for this season is for the SVD. It can no longer one-tap to the lower arms outside of 15 meters. This severely hurts the consistency, as lower arms tend to block the chest, and there is now virtually no reason to use it over the SKS or the XPR with the stopping power magazine. Now we move on to pistols. The J358's recoil has been significantly reduced, and it is a bit more in line with the .50 GS. And so now, while it can still serve as a faster killing version of the .50 GS, players may feel a bit apprehensive about using it due to the lack of a suppressor. And now we have our shotguns. With the HS2126, we have a reload time buff, as it has been drastically reduced to 1.38 seconds to fit with its new reload animation. This change is very much welcome. However, there is still little to no reason to use it over single-fire shotguns like the KRM or HS0405. Now we'll move on to operator skills. The Equalizer's ammo capacity has been increased by an additional 40 rounds, allowing you to use it for a bit longer, but the Claw is still overall the stronger option in general, so it probably won't be used much. And as for score streaks, the Guardian score streak now does 30 damage per second, meaning that it will take 1 less tick to kill. But due to the poor range of the Guardian, it's still not a good option. So now let's move on to some throwables. We first have the Sticky Grenade. The Semtex's detonation time has been reduced by 2 seconds, which should make it easier to use. However, frags will still be the better option due to being able to bounce, and you can cook them for precise timing. And then we have the EMP Grenades. The EMP Grenade's blast radius has been increased by an additional meter, which makes destroying enemy equipment a bit easier. and it'll also last 1 second shorter if you manage to hit yourself with it. EMP Grenade still won't be used as much in Ranked, but may see usage in Shipment, I guess. Now moving on to perks. We have the Dauntless perk, reducing burn damage by an additional 10%, allowing you to survive Molotovs and Thermites for a bit longer. Furthermore, the unit support has received a rather substantial buff this season, as its scoring ratio has been improved. Teammates' kills increased charge by 40% instead of 30%, and the charge gain penalty from your own kills has been decreased to 50%. This makes it a great option when used with a coordinated team, but it still won't be very useful in solo queue as it relies on good teammates. The tracker footsteps now stay for an extra 2 seconds, so it should be more useful in Search and Destroy. However, Quick Fix is still too valuable to swap out, so it probably will not be a common perk. And Agile now reduces sprint to fire time by 15% compared to the previous 10%, which is literally unnoticeable in most cases, so just don't bother with it. Now we move on to BR. 2 changes here. First, teammates can now see the sensor dart from the friendly scout on the minimap. They will also be able to see the red dots and silhouettes of the enemies when they are scanned. This makes the scout a much more effective recon class, as the intel is shared with the whole squad. And the clown class now recharges 5 seconds slower when upgraded. This change is, for the most part, not very noticeable and doesn't affect the viability of the class. The biggest change of this season will be the changes to the flinch mechanic. A new variable has been added to all weapons called bullet impact, which affects how much flinch the enemy will take by multiplying the bullet impact value to the hit flinch value. So basically, the enemy's weapon will also affect how much flinch it will take. LMGs and sniper rifles will have higher bullet impact than other weapons. So higher damage weapons will also have higher bullet impact than their lower damage counterparts. Therefore, these weapons will generally inflict more flinch than other guns. And that just about covers all the changes that happened this season. Let us know what you think about these changes in the comments, and if you found this video helpful, feel free to like and subscribe. Going dark.